introductions to what's out there, some tools that you can make, because everything's expensive today, so you can save a few bucks if you want to be creative. So first thing I'm going to start is the basic lathe, which we have here. So you got the headstock here, tailstock, tool rest, and banjo. Basically, that's the basic things. You just want to go on to the tools. I said I'm going to be moving quickly. Things are a little chaotic here. We got a lot of stuff on the table here. We didn't have enough room to have 2 tables, so everything's on top of everything. Okay, you can stop right there. When we work with wood, you got to consider grain in the wood. I'm just going to pass this around. He made 2 copies. I'll put one on this side. It gives you an idea when we're talking about grain, direction of wood. When you take a log and you start cutting the log, you have end grain and long grain. 2 biggest things you should consider, and of course the pit. I always try to get rid of the pit because it always splits and cracks. So that's one of the first things you get rid of in the wood is the pit. I'll put a piece of wood over here if I can hold it in my hand here. Well, know I had some pieces of wood on the... Okay, I can use that too. Oh, wait, I thought I had it on the lathe here. Okay. This is the long grain of the wood. When you mount it in the lathe like this is usually considered spindle work. You're turning it this way. When you do a bowl, you have different things to consider on here. You don't want the pit. You, what do you call, when you turn this, you go from long grain to end grain. So sometimes, you have to cut with sharp tools and everything. When you do this, to get a clean cut.
Just for 1 second, could you hold up both and orient the grain?
On the bowl?
So that you can see the difference. No, both. So you see which way the grain's going.
Okay.
Both at the same time.
Okay, can you see the grain on this? Oh, we don't have the boom going. Grain is going lengthwise on here.
And which way is the grain going?
On the bowl here. Now, if I hold this, you can see the grain is here. This is end grain here, and end grain here, and you can feel how rough it is here, and over here how smooth it is when you cut. I was trying to prepare some pieces of wood for tonight, but knowing I'm not going to have time to get to it, a lot of the problems you can have happen to me working this piece. When you mount, I did this with a faceplate. I put it on here, and when you have screws, I have a tray here of screws here. I keep a tray, and in the tray I have all different types of screws. Do not use drywall screws, they will snap. Use a sheet metal screw. If they start stripping, don't even try putting it in. Get rid of them right away, because if you lose a screw, that circle's here letting me know there's a screw in here. It snapped on me. It hit a knot underneath and snapped. The other thing that happened, I put it on the chuck. I don't know if you can see it. It snapped off the chuck. This piece of wood broke. So when you put a dovetail on a piece of wood, you want your... Where is my key on this? Now I'm trying to find it. Oh, right here in front of me. Yeah. You want to make sure that it sits right up against the bowl. So when you start doing it in here, you're putting pressure on it and it'll pop out. As long as I have this chuck in my hand, one of the things I want to go with the chuck, there's different types of chucks. I want to borrow yours over here too.
Can everybody see? You want me to use the camera?
I don't know if you can see what inside these drawers.
Be down there for a second. They weren't great with laptop.
I'll be down. I have the legs for it.
The difference between these, the drawers on here are straight. So when you put the dovetail, you can just make a straight cut. But these have, that they flare out so they can grip. So when you do the dovetail on here, you want to cut this on an angle. I don't know if you can see this, it's not straight down, it goes in an angle to fit the jaws. And the same thing if you want to use this and expand it. You know, I'll show you later what a different tool you can use to, cut that. As I said, I'm a little disorganized, everything's all over the place. Well, I want to get back to the video. Go up to the next screen. Just keep it down. Again, we got the grain direction again, long grain. In the bowl, you have your long grain, and on each side, you have end grain. I think go up this a little bit higher, you'll get all these. Okay. Long grain, you can use a spindle roughing gouge, spindle gouge, parting tool, screw chisel. Cross grain, bowl gouge, radius scraper, straight scraper, end grain, bowl and spindle gouges, howling scraper, adjustable hollowing, and side cut scraper. Now, we'll get into some of those tools, what they look like. It is on. If anybody wants to know how to make the table, I have the instructions how to make this.
It's on our website, actually. It's on our website.
It is? Okay, what's the first thing we have? We have a spindle roughing gouge. Where's the spindle roughing gouge here? I don't know what a spindle roughing gouge. You got one with your?
No.
Must have left it out of the tool roll. Oh, sorry, everybody. Forgot my roughing gouge. Well, we'll go to spindle gouge. Spindle gouges have a shallower flute, and their angles for the spindle gouges usually run between 35 degrees and 45 degrees down in here. Where bowl gouges are, okay. Where the bowl gouge is deeper, and the bowl gouges run between 45 degrees and 60 degrees. To try to say any one type of angle is better than the next, I think it's up to the individual, how you stand and approach. Everybody has their own way of sharpening tools.
can't focus on this, so hold it.
Put the tip on the wood.
Yeah, keep the tip on the wood.
Yeah, but they're rolling.
I know, but I can't focus on it here.
Here, hold on. Okay.
Pete, don't let it hang over it. Focus. Put the tip on the paint or on the board.
Yeah, but everything rolls off here.
Yeah, I can get it over here. Go ahead. Go ahead. We rehearsed this all week.
Yeah, we did.
Where'd he go?
I'm looking at some sheets of paper on here with information.
Go ahead.
Oh, here we go, right here. Okay, so that's basically, you know, the difference between the spindle gouge, bowl gouge, and the next thing they start doing is the parting tool. Yeah. As I said, I'm moving quickly because we're limited to time. And a parting tool is usually anywhere between 25 degrees to 45 degrees. Okay.
That's an ice cream scoop. That's something? Huh? Boy.
There's an idea. Roughing gouge.
Kind of a larger one.
Okay. This one is usually bigger than the normal one. The normal one now you use usually an inch in width. Never use that on a bowl. Never. This flange right here is very weak and it will bend and snap because this is too aggressive to go into a bowl. On the parting tool, I like this type of parting tool. It has the diamond. Can you pick that up on the screen? Yeah. It's wider in the middle than up the top and bottom, where there's less friction and you get less heat. Where if you have a flat one, it usually generates a lot of heat. Next thing we have there is, well, it's the narrow one.
I'll find it.
Okay, it says a narrow one. Let's go to a narrow one. This is a narrow one, but these are homemade ones. Give me this. Give me a saw blade there. The saw blade.
Okay. Saw blade.
Since we got these out, these are hacksaw blades. And these are made with the hacksaw blades.
Power hacksaw blade.
And I have a small one here. It's right here. It's a smaller blade. I use this all the time. It cuts better than any other ones that I had bought.
Which one do you have there?
That's the small, made from a small hacksaw blade. Now, this happens to be a big one. This was made for a smaller one. I found these down at the flea market for $1. I don't know, about 3 years ago, I bought a bunch of them into a meeting. I sold them all off. I think I bought about half a dozen of them. I don't know if anybody made any, what do you call, parting tools with them.
How do you cut them?
With these, I had the die grinder. Cut.
Oh, so you have to cut it with one.
Yeah, because it's, what do you call it? You got to grind the teeth off on one side. If you want to make it long like this, you can use the whole blade. It's just too big. I don't use it. This is great. Here we go. This is a Dremel.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay?
Use an angle grinder.
Yeah.
No, use
Yeah, he used a Dremel tool to cut that the metal. It's surprising what these things can cut.
At last year's Lancaster Symposium, Mark St. Roger said that he makes his narrow parting tools from knives that he steals from Outback Steakhouse.
Yes, I remember that.
Get a good piece of steel.
It is a good piece of steel.
Pass this around, someone wants to start it around. That's the tool.
Local
like, you know, where you're finding vintage stuff.
You want to keep going down?
Because it already has a handle.
There we go. Okay. Now we're going into the bowl gouges. And you'll see the fingernail grind, the traditional grind. They have V shape and a U shape. I've tried all of them. I found the V shape is a little more aggressive. The U shape, the one I have is a 1/2 inch, it clogs a lot. But it depends, you know, how you grind them. You have the different types of grinds at the tip. Traditional will be, let's be traditional, and this is a traditional. It's flat at the end, on the tip, where the bowl gouges, did you take, oh, you put them down there.
What do you want?
This can be one of the bowl, oh yeah, give me that one, yeah. This is back a little bit further. This is more like the, you're up there, the fingernail ground. The Ellsworth goes back much further. One of these tools is reversible, and I do have an Ellsworth ground in the back. I'm just going to put this, put that down. When you talk about trying to buy tools and you talk about different manufacturers, this is P&H. They're made in Australia.
Down so we can see it in the camera. There you go.
And I just read in this year's issue of Craft Supplies, I think, they don't make this no more. They sold out. But both of these are 1/2 inch. If you look at the label, they're 1/2 inch, and if you measure the diameter, this one's an 1/8 of an inch bigger in diameter. So you just
All of the bowl gouges I'm making it backwards, but in Great Britain, they're measured between the flutes.
yes,
And in the US, they're measured at that maximum diameter. So it depends on
Australia.
where you get them, how they're measured.
Right. That's what I'm getting into. But you answered the question. That's okay. Okay, want to roll down to the next?
Yeah, scrapers.
Yeah. Okay, we got scrapers. Okay. That's what I was just looking for. This is just a flat scraper that I made. This was a pry bar I bought for $1. And the steel on this is fantastic. It holds an edge, and you know, and this one over here, bought for $1 down the flea market, doesn't hold, like, made in probably China. So if you get some old tools, and that's what I do, I get some down the flea market. I live close to Englishtown Flea Market, so I'm down there 6 or 7 times a year. And I go through the bins, and I'm always picking up a piece of metal or something and trying to make different types of tools. So a lot of my tools are made. Now this is a piece, I don't know what type of steel this is, but this is another scraper, and this works, also holds a very good edge. I find out, if you notice, this is a 1/4 inch, this is about 3/8. You have less vibration if the scraper is thicker. So if you're looking to buy one, the thicker the tool, be less vibration. Also, this is a scraper I was talking about before for the the chuck. It will cut in that angle. I'm going to put the tool on there too. You'll see the angle, how it fits right in there. So that's what do you call it? You can make this out of a piece of steel if you have a piece of steel. Oh, you're putting all my tools down. Oh. You can grind and make one of these angles in here. Problem with this, when you're turning and you got your bowl here, this is in the way to get in here. So you can make another scraper, get a piece of metal and cut, or I shouldn't say grind, that angle where you can hold the tool this way and the cutting angle, I have a scraper here. Yeah, well, this is a scraper, but you can make this square in here, and you can get in here and make the angle, so you're away from the tailstock. Keep moving on here. Okay, I'm just going to keep moving as I see things on my table. I just keep on. I'm pretty much through the thing. Roll down to the next thing. I think that carbide, that's Gary's window, so he'll go on carbide. One thing I like to do, set up your lathe where you're comfortable with your tools, easy access. Now over here, I made this for tonight to show you. This is something you can make very easy. It's just a bolt on here. That's all it is, and one of the easiest ones to make. Now, I always like to make things of my own. I like to fiddle with things. Another thing, just a magnet. I just keep pencils and stuff in it. On my lathe, on this side I keep things. I'm just bringing everything on this. I always keep magnets over here. If I take anything apart, like if I'm working on this lathe, I had the same lathe home. There's a stop bolt here, which was missing here. Because somebody had used the lathe, and you lose it when you just lay it on the table in the sawdust. So I always keep a magnet. Anytime I take anything apart, I put it on a magnet. I can find it. It's not laying, I don't lose it in the dust, and sawdust and stuff, the chips.
Is that magnet from the speaker?
Yep, this is from a speaker. You go out and buy magnets. This magnet here, you can buy these at Harbor Freight. They're all different sizes. This is from a speaker. Usually when I, I have my keys in here. This hangs, usually I have the same lathe. This also has, magnets on the bottom, so it doesn't move around. It stays here. This thing is great, but it catches all the chips and everything, so it's always dirty. Another thing I like to have is a well-lit area. I have lights that come down. I have 3 or 4 of these. Now this light here is $10 at IKEA, and you can't beat it. Oh, I have no electric here to plug it in. Let me see if I can just unplug the lathe. And it's great for working. What I did, when you get it, it has just a plastic base. So what I did is I put a magnet on it, and I put this thing so I can grab it. Because when it gets down on something, it's on there. So I can grip it and take it off. And I can place this any place on here I want. This is a battery operated one. This thing here fits right on here, perfect, shines right into your bowl. Like I said, I have a number of these lights depending. I have one overhead that swings out over here behind my shoulder. When I'm working, I'm cutting here, but most of my light from this direction is on this side, so I have a light behind me that comes on my side where I can see where I'm cutting. Another type of magnet, Wool Harbor Freight, these things here. I keep all the screws for my face plates. And what I have in here is all different size Phillips. Depending on the type of screw you got, it's different size openings for the Phillips. So they don't strip. I have different sizes that fit the screw perfect. Once these start stripping, throw them away right away, because I've had it before. I put my faceplate in, I go to take it out, can't get it out. Now you gotta chop it out. So always just make sure, don't use drywall screws, and they start to strip, get rid of them. Another thing you put to hold tools, I have a Lazy Susan in my shop, and I have all my tools on a Lazy Susan. Here's another way you can do something real quick. I'm just showing this thing here. Got your tools on it. Gotta have two magnets though if you're gonna do this. If you have one, it will, the tool will move on you. I don't have this really tight on here. Or you can, again, you can use, just the plastic, pipe for tubes to put your tools in. I'm just giving you ideas on what you can do, at home. Yep. These bars are bought at Harbor Freight. I always go down there with the 20% off coupons when I buy stuff. On this side of the lathe, you can't see it. Last month I put a tool holder here for working, so all my tools are right here when I'm working, so I'm not reaching for everything. I put some golf balls here to make things easier to hit here, but these I made a little decorative. Anybody want golf balls? I bought a bag in. You're welcome. Take as many as you want. I think, what? No.
I'm waiting for him to carve them so I can get them.
Pete, look at your hands, I can show them.
That's a self-portrait.
How many golf balls did I give you last year? How many golf balls did you take last year? 500? Gave him 500 golf balls 2 years ago.
You live on a golf course?
No. I pass a golf course down the street from me, so when I go for a walk, I never go on the golf course. These are always laying along the street. Okay, let me keep moving on. Now, what I made a lot of my own tools. Okay. One of the first tools I made, piece of pipe, my pool, glue the handle on it, put some set screws in, and everything was, of course the set screws are all the way in. And I have, carbide tools, which I'm not going to go into.
I'm not supposed to show that.
I'm not supposed to show carbide tools, so. Made this a number of years ago. I don't use it that much, but I have it. However, I put these things. These are metal cutting tools.
Yep.
Fit perfect in here. Now, what I may use these for, as you get better, you make tools. This is just a plumbing fitting right here. It's a flat nut. I cut a hacksaw, a line here, drop this in, tighten this up, clamps it right down. I've got some aluminum stock with this tool and with this cutter. I drill a hole, put the tool in, and as I said, big difference from, I'm always learning and improving.
You can also buy it.
Improving. Anybody know the difference between this one and this one? There's big improvement in it. This one here, the bottom comes off.
The wine bottle opener.
And your Allen wrench.
Wait a minute. You put it on the board or someplace where they can focus.
Unscrew it.
You done there?
Yeah. And that's just the Allen wrench. This is a Robert Shelby handle. I had bought a bunch of bits when they were on sale, and
You're old?
yeah, they sell everything. They sell a little handle that goes on here. I just found a piece of aluminum pipe, put a bolt in it, it's epoxied in there. This thing probably costs $25 to buy it through them. It costs me, this is the price of a bolt.
I want to step back. You use the metal cutting tool bit in the steel pipe?
Yes,
What do you cut on the wood with that?
I did it on this lathe.
No, but what do you use that for in wood turning?
Aluminum,
Oh, okay, when you're, I'm sorry.
this part here, drilled out, formed this,
Okay, so you were making a tool with that particular tool?
yes.
So you don't use that?
Pete, is that turning into a flamethrower when you're not doing it?
Yes. Same thing with this tool. I find this is very short. Just add it, make it longer.
Can you make it
You think when you're in a bowl and you're trying to go deep, the more you're over this, hollowing, you gotta keep your arm on here, or else you're not gonna hold the tool. I can take it apart. Another tool, very cheap. This is just the plunger from a bathroom faucet. My depth tool. This is just a thumb nut with a threaded insert. I'm just saying, this is stuff I got laying around the house. If I need something, I think about what do I have to make things. No, she buys new stuff. My old drills. I take the chucks off my old drills, and on a tool like this, this is drill rod. I think it's 01 drill rod, which means it's for oil. When you get drill rod, you can get W1, which cools by water. A1, no, it's O1 is for oil, and A2 is for air. This is O1. That means when you want to temper this, you heat it, and then you, just plunge it in oil to cool it. Quench it.
Your fireplace.
Yeah, he was here one night, I was bending steel. I go into my fireplace, stick the steel, it comes in cherry red. Norm was there, holding the doors, running out to the garage, bending the tool rests.
You know, they make torches to do that too.
Yeah, but this is 1 inch.
This is more fun.
Oh, yeah. Okay, after you cool this to do it right, then you gotta take this and put it in the oven at certain temperatures for like an hour or two, because even though you put it, it's still brittle. So I'm not gonna go into annealing and doing all that stuff and forging. That's a whole new topic. I'm just gonna keep moving here quickly. This is another piece of pipe. I just drilled and tapped. This is a chatter tool. Just put a piece of metal in here. Chatter tool. Yeah, you see the elf tool?
Does everybody here know what a chatter tool does or is?
Chatter tool puts a decoration on wood. If you're doing this, we do tops. And you got the end grain, and you put it, and as it turns, it hits the wood and it chatters. And then you just take a pen and you put like a felt tip pen, and it pops out. You'll see all the marks. A piece of metal I had. You could use a hacksaw. Try different types of metal to see, they'll give you different textures. This here, piece of copper tubing, I had a bearing that fit in here. I got this at the woodworking show. The guy sells all the junk on the side. They have all these things. Elf tool. There's a magnet in here that holds this in. I don't know if you can hear it. It goes in, locks in.
What do you use that for?
There's a magnet. It's an elf tool. You put it up against the wood.
spins?
It spins. And it gives you, like you do the tops, it gives you all the decorations.
Oh, okay.
Another thing I had made, instead of buying it, now I made this one. I tried drilling a hole out of a piece of 1 inch stock. It didn't come out good. And Frank I went over to Frank's house, he drilled it out, put bearings in it for me. But if you don't have that type thing, you can go make one like this. Got bronze bushings, bought them at Lowe's, same thing. They have one at an angle or one at the bottom. Again, there's a magnet in the bottom of these things to hold these in place.
What kind of bushings are those?
They're bronze bushings.
Are we up to the combine?
You can pass it around if you want. Another thing I bought, I'm going to start not going through all this stuff. I bought this for doing other work, for drill getting into tight spaces. And when I found out what I'm trying to get into is a tight spot, I have this on the drill. This is a pain in the neck. It moves too much. But I found out this little end piece comes right off. This is just an extension for Phillips. Pull that out. Just stuck this on here like this. I took a piece of wood because this spins. Now this will spin. Now this has to have a, what do you call? You can't have a round on here. This is a Phillips bit drilled and epoxied in here. And this just goes in here. This also locks in place. Just put in the drill. I can get in close with this. This was all bought Harbor Freight. Another thing I do with a lot of my tools, all my chucks have different size nuts. So I color coded these to fit each one of my chucks. If you don't want to make them, you could buy one of these things, Basin Wrench. You just, what do you call it? Dial it into the size you want, any size you want. Does the same thing for getting, your chuck off. Yeah, run the sink. Otherwise, you got to get under the sink to take everything off. That's what that's for. That's Home Depot, Lowe's, hardware stores. So that, yeah, I'm going to keep moving. Try to move a little bit quicker. Another thing which I've done over here for the tools, for the buffing, is this a rod in here? Put the buffers in, these are spacers. You see that the Barry Gross has the wheels for buffing. That's all I did, just bring this up like this, and have the buffing wheels on here, just tighten up with a nut. I'm not going to put the wheels on it, but you can make this yourself instead of, I don't know what he gets for it, but he probably gets about 80 bucks for it. 55? This is just scrap pieces that I had. Another thing I have here, works very well. For buffing, I just use the drill chuck. Now, this will come flying out, so you got to put this in with threaded rod, and that just screws in, and it'll stop this from coming out. I'm not going to tighten it up the way. I use this when I'm doing pens. If I want to put another, buffing wheel on, I go right up like this. I got a little hole, and I'm set up to go.
Is that a carriage bolt?
Yep, no, these are the running thread.
Is that a carriage bolt?
Yes, that one is, yeah. Another thing that I use for setting up my tools, I don't have a grinder here, but I use the Raptor. This is for my 45 for my spindle gouges, 50 for my bowl gouges. After a while, sometime you lose the angle. I bought this in Craft Supply. They have 3 different ones. This has the Irish grind on it, they call it. And I will put this on here to reset my tools. I'll put this in the tool. I have the, for the way I set my tools, this sticks out 2 inches. And I have the, I set this up. And once I have the angle set again, I can reset my tools. So I never cut with this. This is just a guide tool, so I can make sure I keep the same grind. I don't lose the angles. Another thing, I have the same lathe home. I put an on and off paddle switch at this end. I don't know how many of you turn something, you got a bowl and something starts coming loose, and you see it coming loose, and you got to go on this side to turn it. You're in the way of it flying. I just stay here, and my hip hits the paddle switch and shuts the lathe off. So safety. The newer lathes have the paddle switch now on that side. I'm going to move a little bit quicker here. You can make, I'm not even going into those tools. Another thing you can make a lot of are your sanding pads. Okay. I just bought this stuff. It's just packing some of it. I found out this is too thick. That's what it there. I took the same pad. I just went to the bandsaw, cut it down to size.
How'd you cut the surface?
On a lathe.
How you?
Spindle. I mean this here?
The foam part.
I just cut it, then when it was on here, sanded it down to size.
Oh, you just sanded it around?
Yeah. You better start, I'm gonna finish up, so Gary, you wanna start getting your stuff ready? No, I want you to start, give some time.
Pete, I got one question for you. Where did you get that sheet of Velcro?
Okay, I'm going into that now with the tools. This here I got from Klingspor. This here is so you can take the felt pads, the sanding pads, and make discs. Cut it out, and get the sanding pads, you change them, like this one here. This is just a smaller one. Change the pads. That's these here. This is here, Klingspor right here. Sells the pads. They're round, and this Wood Turners Wonders sells these pads, the smaller ones for these. They come in a sorted size in a package. One of the things I had showed you here earlier was the point tool. Okay, can't find the point tool. Oh. Point tool, they have on that video over there how to make one out of wood, but this one here, one of my plumbing supplies, and this is locks in here. I have drilled holes, tapped it, and I got set screws in here. And now when I put this on the grinding machine, I lay this on my flat guide on the front of the stove, tool rest, and move it every other one, and it gives me the 3 sides for doing the, what do you call, point tool. Sometimes I'll take I'll do a bowl and I forget to, what do you call, put the center in. I just had it in my hand. Got too much stuff out here. Well, this one is for the smaller one. This fits in here and resets the center. I just had I have also here in wood.
It's on the ground. It's on the
Hey, I knew I had it out here. And this one here is for this one here. You just turn on the lathe and you get your centers again. I'm going to call it quits for now. I want to give some time for Gary. I got a whole box of stuff here I haven't even got into yet.
We'll keep going till we're done.
No, I want to give Gary,
I'll try to be brief.
Do what you want.
as Gary's setting up, they have these straps for putting on here if you get your chuck on. I don't like the rubber ones, they stretch. If you get one with a cloth band, this doesn't stretch and it has a better gripping power. Go ahead.
Well, let me get organized here a little bit. That's one thing he has to have a lesson is organization.
As he's getting organized, let me get my stuff off the lathe here. I have a washer that goes on that too. Oh. Oh, that's the washer. So it doesn't, what do you call
You
it?
got time for turning wood?
I have wood, but I'm not turning anything.
Too busy making tools.
It's there. If I'm doing a project, I have this thing instead of getting the, is it Buell buffing? This here, this goes right on here, the same thing.
No, I'm understanding. I guess, yeah, I understand. It's fine. Doesn't matter.
This is just the adapter, because this is, I had set up for my small lathe. And I have all the different wheels for the different compounds.
Where do you get your food?
Down the flea market. I got all the same routes, this is the Tripoli here. And I got the white diamond too. I got the 3 wheels. I didn't bring everything, I only bought, I bought enough for junk, you know?
You need to let stuff home? You got like a 6-car garage?